Hello, hello. Welcome to Foreign Takes. I'm here with my co-host, Mr. KG and Mr. Big Lev. Boys, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about all things soccer. More about Premier League, of course. Reviewing the games, seeing what else is out there in the world of soccer, in Serie A, in Bundesliga.
Is it frozen where you are? That's my real question for you guys. Is it
It's
fucking cold where you are?
it's cold.
Yes.
It's frozen.
Okay, it's not cold, I,
Okay.
I, but it's Florida cold. Okay, like it's 50s and 60s is not what I sold people on. I had my family visit and they were all brought the summer dresses and swimsuits and they were like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna go to the beach." Or it was like under 60 or under 50 yesterday, so that kind of sucked.
Man,
But
Mm,
next
Mr.
next week
KG,
it's
do you hear
next
this?
week it's 70, 80, so it's gonna be good.
I have a lake outside my window that begs to differ because it's frozen.
So do I, my friend. It literally feels like half the northern hemisphere has just completely frozen solid. Like there's just
uh,
ice. There's
yeah,
nothing
yeah.
else.
Ice
You know,
Age number two.
you know
Where's
who's
that
frozen
squirrel?
solid? The entirety of Russia and
Uh,
their water supply. Remember how they were laughing at Europeans that they're gonna freeze without the gas, and now they're actually freezing?
Oh my god, it's unbelievable. Honestly
Yeah.
speaking. All right, let's jump into it. There was only three Premier League, or sorry, four Premier League games because we're still on this fake, I don't know, winter break
Fake
in the Premier
break.
League. Fake break,
Fake break.
let's call it.
Yeah.
So I think first game worth discussing was Arsenal 5, Palace 0. I don't know. This, KG, we were texting about it in the group chat. Did you think this was a good win, or did you think Palace was just terrible, or a little bit of both?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think Arsenal was okay-ish. Be it as an opponent who's a little bit more serious, it could have been a 1-0 or 2-0 win. The Arsenal would still win probably if it was a grade above of Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace has just been bad these past months. And it's just, again, I'm saying, like, I've been saying it before, like, Roy Hodgson, man, like, the man needs to retire. Let him old man go. He's 70.
This feels
He's,
this feels like the end of his first when he first left right before
yeah.
VR, right? Like there was that specific couple weeks where it just feels stale. Like the whole club just feels not on the same page.
Yeah.
Because the last two goals that Arsenal scored, they're identical. The Martinelli goals, they're identical. Like, how can you make two similar mistakes within a span of 3 minutes and the 90th minute? Like, it's just bad. Like, people are giving up, and then I think Eze gave away the ball. Like, that was just like
Yes, because he
he's
was
trying
trying
to.
to do that trick.
Yeah, like, you're losing 4-0. It's no time for tricks. Just play it back. Like, it's 3-0. Keep the ball. Live with some dignity. But yeah, good job for Arsenal. It's hopefully they can build on it and compete. But Crystal Palace was just abysmal.
I mean,
Okay,
Crystal Palace has stagnated over the last few years, where every year we're like, oh, are they getting relegated or no? Like they're solidly in like that 14, 15 spot. But that's how good Premier League, like decent Premier League teams get relegated, where they just don't progress. And like nothing has been excited about Crystal Palace as of like the last couple of years. No, I'm not talking about individual players, but overall the club hasn't really progressed. So I think it's time for them to shake it up a little bit.
so I have a question for you guys. Do you keep Hodgson? Like we know they're probably going to be safe, especially with Eberechieze, Olise. Like they have enough firepower to stay up. They just need Jordan Ayew to come back. Like, would you guys get rid of Roy Hodgson now, or do you just wait and first week let him retire successfully at the end of the season and then do a proper like transition?
It seemed like it was a stopgap signing. It was a stupid stopgap signing in terms of a manager because they fired Vieira at the end of the season, and he had the coach Hodgson had the summer to come back and didn't do much in terms of buying or selling players. Obviously, let the man retire and find some proper solution. Like, I think they didn't give Vieira enough time. I don't know why they like. I don't think Vieira would have been much different this season. I also have a hot take. I think Crystal Palace is going to be dragged into the relegation battle with Nottingham Forest
I mean, they're
and
only five
Luton.
points away from Luton, so
Yeah, so they're going to
they're
be.
not
I
out
think.
of relegation battle.
Yeah, they're not out of relegation, but they can go on a run. Like, people expect that usually Crystal Palace goes on a run. They win 3 games and then they stick 14th or 13th, whatever they finish. But I think the season's going to be a bit different. I think they're going
Uh,
to be dragged into fully on, like, till the last 3 4 days of the championship. They're going to be fighting for that confirmation of security, along with Nottingham Forest and Luton and Burnley and whatever they
Interesting.
Yeah,
have.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
I would still like not fire Hodgson now
yeah,
because like you don't know how it's gonna affect the team, and then you could have an opposite effect where they just fall off the cliff
yeah.
that's
because
true.
you had unexpected change of management. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Like, I can't tell week over week. It's like one week they look okay, one week they look like they've given up. Anyway, I
What
think
about your take on Arsenal? How do you think they fared?
honestly, it
Sure.
was exactly what I think that is the expectation. It was like, cool, we were finally ruthless with our finishing. Martinelli bags 2 goals, good finishes. I think it was like overall solid game. Exactly what we wanted. We got all the players. We rotated a couple. We got a bunch of sub players to come in. We got to see Smith Rowe. So I think all overall it was just like it's exactly what I would have liked. It's a little flattering. I think the score, to be honest,
Mhm.
was definitely flattering. Like it should not have been a 5-0, probably, but when Crystal Palace brings on a right back who's actually a center back, and then pushes him up front. Like, why would you do that against Martinelli? You called it in the beginning. It's like they did the
Yeah.
same mistake twice. Like, of course, I'll take the 2 extra goals, but yeah, as far as Arsenal's concerned, I was like, cool, another one in the bag. Forgettable game for us. Helps the goal difference. Let's move on. It's like really,
Does
it was
that
just like
does that give you confidence going into a Liverpool game that's going to be in the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
yes, yes.
Do you
This is
think?
exactly the kind of game we needed just to get a
Mm.
couple of our players back on their feet, just to build the confidence a little more. Yeah, the biggest thing is we did not need another loss. We had to stem the losses and the draws, and this is exactly what
Yeah.
we needed. The next game, just to quickly touch on, was another 5 goal game, except this one was Brentford 3, Nottingham Forest 2. Honestly, it was a fantastic game. I don't want to touch too much on. I think the real part we want to talk about was Tony's free kick. So for
Yeah.
anyone who didn't watch it, they get a free kick. Tony does what every player does when they're about to take a free kick. He moves the ball a little bit. I think the thing that was more controversial this time was he didn't do it once, he did it twice. When the ref turned around, he moved it with the foam and
Mm.
then scores a goal. So I guess for you, my question to you guys is: should VAR have ruled it out? Yes or no?
Yes, because
Yes.
when you move the ball and if the ref is watching you, they lose their shit. Like they redo the foam, they give you a talking to. Just because this ref was just looking away, that's why we have VAR. Okay. Why didn't like I don't know? There should have been more complaints from the opposition too.
So that's my question: is it's the Forest
Yeah,
players should have been complaining, right? It's like the Forest players
yeah.
saw it, didn't say a single thing. The Adam Yates, the defender for the midfielder for Yates, tells the goalie. The goalie's like, "Don't worry about it," and then he scores exactly what he
because
wanted.
it's Matt
But
Turner, bro.
the thing with the thing is, if you're in a so you need like a good leader on the field. Then if you're in a wall when he's doing that, you can't go and complain because if he scores and you're out there complaining, everyone's gonna shit on you because saying, "Oh, he wasn't doing his job. He was complaining. He should have been in the wall, done a better job." But that's why you need someone there, like a captain who's not in a wall, who's gonna raise hell and not let
Interesting.
him take the free kick.
Interesting.
That's like hard, small, intangible things that good leaders on the field would do.
Interesting.
Yeah.
KG,
Uh,
would you have ruled it out?
I would have ruled it out, but what's immense to me in terms of the Nottingham Forest perspective is that Matt Turner, like he moved the ball to the right of the wall, and then he ended up curving around the wall from that angle, and Matt Turner didn't move the wall, knowing and seeing it.
yeah, that
He
was
didn't even
stupid.
he didn't even do the goalkeeper thing of being like, okay, move to the like he didn't do nothing. And then obviously I would have ruled it out because he moved it twice, and he moved the foam because he like by moving the foam he confirmed that he was gaining an advantage. Second of all, he then celebrated with like, "This is for you, Uncle Ben. Your bet, your bet came in. You believed in me. Thank you for betting on my behalf, Uncle Ben. It's not me now."
It's so
uh,
ridiculous. But
yeah.
it's one
So
of those things that was like written in the stars, right? Of course, Tony comes back, all this fuss. I don't know if you guys saw the intro that they did for him, the Brentford team.
yeah,
They like
yeah, it
made it
was
dark. The
cringe.
whole thing was ridiculous, honestly speaking.
He
Just
is a good player. He added to Brentford haven't been winning for a while. He added a lot to the game. He was playing well in terms of playing as like what they is exactly what they were been missing going forward. He dropped down deep. He gave the pass. Neil Mope's goal, by the way, the third goal has been amazing. Also,
amazing. I can't believe
uh,
he's able to do that, honestly.
yeah, and Tony started that attack, so he was quite well. It's just when a striker comes back and he hasn't played for a while and he needs that 30 minutes. Not nobody's De Bruyne level, like to come back and drop a decent performance. But like he wanted that goal and he did everything to get that goal, and that should have been rolled away.
Yeah,
That's it.
honestly.
Yeah.
I think another interesting game just quickly was Sheffield United 2, West Ham 2. Also had two red cards. Ridiculous game, honestly. Super entertaining game for anyone who hasn't watched it, at least watch the highlights. I think the big thing is what the hell is wrong with West Ham? Another 90 something minutes equalizer essentially. They had the lead, they couldn't keep the lead, they had cheated their way into it. It's like is David Moyes these are the games he should have been converting into 3 points, not losing 2 points, right?
Too many
Yep.
injuries. Too many injuries. He had Kudus away, Alvarez injured. He didn't have his Antonio, the striker. So he had like a very depleted squad ish. But then they won 2-1 and he should have kept it. But he did a stupid mistake before the 2-1, before they even scored the second goal and they got the penalty. He substituted Cornet, who's a striker, and he put on a right back to play in the midfield. Like
Yeah, so I think basically I think Cornet couldn't finish the full 90 minutes because he
yeah,
hasn't played him so long.
and he didn't have anyone, but he put on a defender, not a midfielder. Like a defender to play in as a natural position. So not too surprised of anyone. They conceded from Sheffield United. Sheffield United, they're not a great. West Ham should have finished them off, but that's what happens. And I think the highlight of West Ham is Warren Prowse. I think Warren Prowse is an amazing midfielder. He shows some insane stats, and it's a criminal offense that Gareth Southgate is not calling him up, as calling up Jordan Henderson, who just betrayed Saudi Arabia on top of other communities to go to Ajax. But then, like, he calls him up and doesn't call Warren Prowse. That's a criminal offense. Southgate should be in KFC jail or whatever, Pizza Hut jail,
KFC jail.
whatever he did the commercial, like did a commercial for. But yeah,
Two
that's my
Man,
points
take on
down,
Southgate
West
man.
Ham.
is a clown, man. He just
Yeah.
got lucky with some favorable draws, and yeah, don't let
It,
Yeah.
he's gonna have Harry Kane taking corners again. Like,
they're gonna be started. The last Premier League game worth talking about of the weekend was Bournemouth 0, Liverpool 4. We were chatting about it in the group chat, but this is just Liverpool, just the machine keeps going. Big
yeah,
Lev, how did you think about this game overall?
good. Scoreline flattened us a little bit, flattered us a little bit, not flattened. But see, here's the thing: Darwin Nunes would have 2 goals probably every game if he could just hit the target on normal shots like he did today. Because this was too just straightforward. The second goal was still weird how he scored it, but okay, whatever. But that was like good finishing. It's just insane that he has only 7 Premier League goals when he had 20. But I'm gonna tell you, one of the most underrated Premier League players over the last few years has been Diogo Jota, because I think for Liverpool he's probably like the third most important player. Look at him since he came back. Every game he played, almost every game, he had a goal contribution or a goal. And I think the reason he's so underrated, it's because he rarely scores like impressive goals. It's almost always like Inzaghi-esque, like he's just there to tap in, or he's just there to like shoot from like a good angle for him. And people are like, yeah, whatever, like no big deal. But he has a skill to be in those areas, and he has a skill of just like finishing with a plumb whenever it's needed. So I think
Can
it's
I
good.
pose you a different way? Because I was thinking about it. He almost feels like an agent of chaos, except he's the controlled agent of chaos, and Nunez
Yeah,
is just the uncontrolled agent of chaos. Like they're still involved entirely. They change the
yeah,
games, but Jota is just there causing chaos. Except it's always the perfect pass, the perfect finish, the
yep,
underrated touch. Always, it's quite annoying, I have to say. And his ability to jump is unlike. He reminds me of Tim Cahill. Like that
Mm.
small guy should not be winning the number of headers he does.
yeah.
Like it's just unbelievable.
It's
Uh,
crazy because he's not fast, he's not strong, doesn't like he's not super technical, but then he's just super productive.
He's an
but
amazing player.
for Bournemouth, it feels a little hard done by, right? Especially after the first half, where it really felt like it
Yeah,
was an even half. Like Bournemouth were going pound for pound. It's just like Liverpool. We've said it before. Their finishing gets them out of these issues. Like they
Yep.
finish when they're supposed to. Boom, they
yeah.
win games. It's just one of those very frustrating things as an Arsenal fan, just to see
Mm.
Liverpool's consistent finishing from
I
all of
think
their
what
players.
we're seeing here is the strength of squad in attack, especially coming to play now, because I think the last several games, or even just like the last several months, Liverpool would be like, and starting from 60th minute, like Jurgen Klopp would have a substitution, and then Liverpool has the most goals after the 80th. Like
Yeah.
it always comes, like people, it shows up that there's goals are distributed, and there's always someone coming in and playing a lot better. And actually, I think there's Robertson is coming back. Uh, Alexander-Arnold is coming back, and possibly Thiago is coming back if he's alive. And I don't know.
He's a cyborg. The cyborg
Yeah.
of his body's coming back, but it's not really him. It's
Yeah.
kind of ridiculous. It's like impressive to watch. Honestly, any team that can put pressure on City, I'm all for it. Honestly.
Yeah.
I saw this trash take from the podcast of Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher. They have this the overlap podcast that they do with Ian Wright and Roy Keane. They were discussing Player of the Year nominations, and all of them agreed, but all of them are British, so it makes sense, except for Roy Keane, obviously. They were like, the Player of the Year is going to be Trent Alexander-Arnold. They called
Ridiculous
for
Bro,
take.
him
what?
Terrible take.
Player
Terrible
of the Year
take.
False
so
take.
far. That's such a terrible take. Trent
Yeah.
Alexander-Arnold is not even the best right back of the year. Okay, I'm sorry, but like
That's
he's a
such a
great
bad
player.
take.
But yeah, they called
Maybe,
him.
maybe a comeback player of the year, because he was kind
Yeah.
of at some point
Yeah,
last season he was almost written off,
yeah.
and
Yeah, comeback
compared to
player.
that he's doing better. But like, no, bro, come on.
Everyone forgot about Salah immediately, just because like De Bruyne, you can't call De Bruyne and Haaland. They for some reason forgot Salah and they went with Trent.
Terrible,
It's
terrible.
such a terrible take.
Let's get off them. Let's
Yeah.
switch gears quickly to the Bundesliga. A very interesting race. So Leverkusen came from behind to beat Leipzig 3-2. It was a very even first half and one of the best second halves of football I will ever see. If you're ever interested in like tactical tweaks and just attacking football, do we think they're gonna do it, boys? Like genuinely, because this game felt like something different, like they're the bulletproof armor.
Rest in peace, Harry Kane's title hopes 2024. But like to be
That would be
honest though,
hilarious, man.
to be
You can
honest though, yeah, it will be hilarious. I mean, it's just hilarious.
They're
you can
so
take a
good,
player
right?
out of sports, but you can't take Spurs out of a player.
He scores, but
They
like
even sent Eric Dyer to help him out. It's like, hey, you want to be more Spursy? How about Eric Dyer joins us on a call? Yeah,
but it was a tactical masterclass, right, KG? Because you and
Yeah.
I
it
were
was.
chatting about it. It was just the second half. They completely like there was complete calmness, even when they got pegged back again by the Leipzig goal. It was just like tactically aware. They're missing a bunch of players as well, especially Jeremy Frimpong is missing. Like it was just solid game.
Oh, it's just such a good game. It was like, first of all, they haven't lost a single game in the league, so it was just showcases what Bayern are up against with Tuchel being Tuchel. And then in terms of we discussed as the tactical change that they did. The first half, I think it finished in a draw, but both teams were sitting quite deep and they were very compact. And the way you could outplay it and outsmart it is to play in the wings and play wider. That's exactly what Javi Alonso did, because as soon as they came out, they scored 5 minutes after the start of the second half from playing out wide and making the fullbacks go wider. And by the way, the fullbacks that they have, Grimaldo got them him
Stunning.
on a free. On a free, by the way. Frimpong is also amazing, and his substitute is not even worse. And on top of everything, their free kicks and corner kicks down to perfection. Like the goals that they scored, defenders are in no man's land. The goalkeeper's in no man's land. Leipzig goals were also amazing. The counter attack, we told you, we
Stunning.
discussed it. 3 passes. Xavi Simons is an amazing player. So overall, the game was great, but Javi Alonso just outsmarted and out mastered Leipzig.
Yeah, Javi Alonso, slow down, man. I want him to be available when the club retires. But at this point, I think next year there's gonna be some big clubs calling him because
Yeah.
the things they outline, like corner tactics, those like that's how a good coach takes a smaller team to a championship. Like small things you can influence, which seems small but makes so much difference in the end.
No.
Man, like this is probably the most exciting times in Leverkusen since they invented heroin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
Bayer
story.
Pharmaceuticals invented heroin. If you didn't
That's
know,
Yeah,
true.
now you
That
know.
is true. That is
that's
true.
it. Historical jabs here on Boring Takes.
Uh,
We are a
Oh my
global podcast.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Go to
No,
Bayern. Let's go. Bayern, of course, lost 1-0, I think, at home, actually, to Werder Bremen. They look, it's just like the difference between Bayern and Leverkusen is beating teams because they're the better team. Bayern is beating teams because they have better individuals. And this was
yes.
another case where when they don't show up, they lose to teams that are playing as a unit.
In overall in Bundesliga, the level of teams is just there's like four good teams that can do something a bit, and then there's just a cliff, just like a fall off of teams who can't string a pass, can't run properly. They leave too much space. It's a very open league. There's not much competition as in the Premier League. I think overall the levels between the teams. Werder was a solid team. Van Baer had to show up and they didn't. Werder didn't do much. They had a plan of sit back, let them play with the ball, and then we're gonna run on a counter attack or run. We're gonna get our chance, and they did. They got their chance and sat back. Harry Kane didn't show up this game. Good for Harry. He probably was busy playing checkers with Eric Dyer before the game. Uh, but yeah, I don't think Tuchel's gonna be at the end here. Like he had the audacity to a week ago give a interview saying that I was treated better in England than I am in Germany. Well, you're given everything with Bayern. Like literally going to Bayern is like you're going into the only cell phone shop in the city, and you're fucking up cell phone sales to a fax machine store. And like you can't do that. Okay, like.
He's losing the
Uh,
plot. Honestly, he really is big
yeah.
too. Just quickly touching, of course, Dortmund won 4-0 away at home to Cologne, I think. And
Yep.
can we just talk about this pathetic Sancho dive penalty, whatever you want to call it? Can we all agree that was a fucking dive, right?
That was an obvious dive. That was such a dive. It was like divers would be like, "You're too professional for our sport. Don't come in. Don't come
Like, what
any
the fuck is
closer."
VAR doing? Like, why didn't they not overturn that?
It was such an obvious dive because like he stopped him with his hand a bit and his legs went. I can't fathom how in football, like if you show two replays of that Garnacho foul they had against Tottenham and this, and Garnacho gets waved away like oh it was nothing because he clearly held him back, and here you just put a hand on your stomach and the guy's legs went as if a sniper shot him and he gets a penalty, and then he has the audacity to go like first of all, bro, like you haven't been to Dortmund for 2 years, okay? Half of the players that you played with are no longer there, okay? Half of the players are no longer there. Who you've been there for 10 days, and you go to Nick Fulkrug, who's a constant penalty kicker, and you go like, bro, give me the ball, bro, and you can read his lips that he's annoyed and asking for the ball for the dive that he made, and Fulkrug is like, no, I'm not giving you the ball. Like,
Well done, Fulkrig.
the audacity, the audacity. I hope he stays in Dortmund. I hope someone buys him. And on top of everything, he played on the left side. We don't need another left winger. We have Garnacho. We don't need you.
It's
Ball play on your right side.
It's ridiculous, honestly. Yeah, let's just forget about it. I just thought it was funny. I'm like, okay, this guy keep contributing. Honestly, I want to never hear about you ever again. I hope you go to retirement league somewhere.
But in all honesty, like his whole argument was that on the right, I'm not getting picked in comparison to Anthony, and then he goes and plays on the left, where like on the left you're going to be second choice. Now with Garnacho and United, you're going to be third maybe. But you have to prove yourself. There's even more competition there. Why were you crying about? What were you crying about? Like I just don't get the insult.
Child, he was a
He's
man
a
child.
prima donna. Prima donna.
Yeah, truly.
no, if you're a good manager, why do you like? Okay, Ten Hag maybe has his problems, but why would you want a player who is so immature that he won't simply say, "Hey, sorry, can I get back in?" Like he would literally throw a tantrum and move, then say apology to his coach. Why
He's
would as a
toxic.
coach who you want to build, your own team, would want someone that disruptive in you? So
I
I
mean,
think his
if you're
time at
Dortmund,
United is done.
oh, it's done. Thank you. That's exactly what I was gonna
Yeah.
say. Like,
Yeah.
if you're Dortmund, I see why you did it. It's free. Like you
No,
pay
for
nothing.
Dortmund, yeah, of
Yeah,
course. But at United, like if I'm a new manager, if they get rid of with Ten Hag, he has no way in. Like that's for sure. But if you're a new manager, like why would you want this guy? You
yeah,
didn't even bring him
No.
in, so
yeah.
No,
Ridiculous.
nobody won.
Let's move on quickly. Let's switch over to Italy for a second. So, for anyone who is not watching the Intercopa, that's annoyingly being played in Saudi, is amazing, amazing, amazing games. And I have to say, KG, I think you and I have been chatting. Watching Inter Milan is one of the most for any like football fans who like talking about tactics and stuff like that, or like watching. They are one of the, if not the best, the most interesting team to watch. Right? Just stunning.
I think this year, last year we were surprised. I mean, pleasantly surprised, and I would say inspired by Napoli. But this year, I think those two teams, the two teams that I would give it to, is Bayern Leverkusen and Inter Milan. Both of them are tactically astute, playing very well, running away in their leagues. Inter Milan is just something. And on top, we know we talked about this before, but having Turam as a sprinkle as of a free transfer is just perfecto, as they would
Like
say it in Italy.
really, it's like perfect. No, like really, it's like Grimaldo for free, almost the
uh,
player of the season for Leverkusen. He's stunned, and then Thuram on at Inter. They both deserve it. It's like they're just running the clubs well. I know there's a financial stuff for Inter, but as far as like the tactics in the field, just incredible.
top three free transfers of the summer: Grimaldo, Turam, and this is by no order, by the way, and Johnny Evans. Those are the three free transfers that are
You know,
hitting this spot.
in a very fucked up manner, I do agree with you because somehow Johnny Evans does deserve to be in that top three. Really well
Johnny
done.
Evans has more love for football and more passion for football and the cut from the cloth of amazing people and great styles. Johnny Evans is not getting praised enough, and I'm tired of it.
Oh my god! Just moving away. So of course Inter is going to play the final. I think they're playing it this weekend actually. Or they might be playing. I don't actually know when their next game is when they're going to play the final, but I think they're playing it on Monday, which is weird. I think they're going to play in
With
Napoli.
Fiorentina as well. On Napoli? Okay.
I think yeah, they're playing Napoli. Just quickly, let's touch on the Milan game, which was very interesting game. They won in the 90, I think, first or second
Yeah.
minute, 3-2 away to Udinese. Of course, as usual, there was some racial controversy where Magnan was getting absolutely abused by the
Yeah.
Udinese fans. He did the right thing. He like stopped the game. He was about to walk off. The refs did it. Like in terms of like the what they did, like the running the situation. It was very well done by the refs, by the team. It just fucked up the game, right? It really just ruined the game in many ways. What ended
Yeah.
up being a very interesting game was just ruined by more racial controversy.
He should not have came back. Like, there's no place for this in sport. There's no place for it in football. Like, it's so daft to me that you would do it, and then you have an attacker on your team who's also African. Like, it's so stupid to me. Why would you do it to an opposing team player? There's no place for it in football, and
Yeah.
he should have just walked off, asked for a sub from the coach, and be like, "Put on the second man and goal. I hope you lose." And you take your stand over the team, because I think some things are bigger than
But they were ready to
a
walk off
team
because I
thing.
was like seeing, of course, he
Yeah.
has his national team. Like Theo Hernandez is with him, Ollie Giroud, like they
Uh,
all play in the national team with him. And I think they were genuinely like ready to just fucking walk off the pitch, right? Like if
yeah.
he had said we're not playing, I think that he would have had the whole team join him. Honestly, it was just
Yeah.
I think the big thing for me, I'm like what is the punishment now for Udinese? Which is exactly what Theo was saying after what Mane was saying. He's like, cool, yes, they did this thing, but it's like, what is the actual punishment? There is no punishment. I think that's the thing that they
Yeah.
were like saying after the game. They're like, cool, yeah, they did an announcement, but like, why aren't they being punished? Why isn't that stand being closed down? Like, why is nothing happening? Is essentially what they were saying afterwards, which
Dude,
I think is a
this has
valid
been
question.
this has been happening in Italy for a long time, almost like weekly, and Spain and England too, but less so. And it's never gonna stop because, like, what the worst you can do is just ban the player from ban the fan that's been caught from the stadium. Like, they don't give a shit. These people, like, they do this. They don't have anything going on in their lives. They're like the lowest for like to do something so disgusting. You don't really have much going. You don't care about getting banned from the stadium.
Yeah.
What you have to start doing is you have to start docking points and making the teams forfeit. And yeah, there'll still be people who are gonna do that. But now your local tifosi will beat the crap out of them every time because yeah, you're gonna lose points every time some idiot pulls something like that. So you're basically kind of giving, you're kind of delegating a responsibility to criminally charge someone, but instead having kind of moving the justice to the streets, which I think
Yeah.
probably is a smart choice here.
Yeah, I agree
Yeah.
with you. Even the one I was always saying, I'm like, cool, that stand, close that stand for one game, maybe two
Yeah,
games, and then that doesn't work enough. What you would suggest? I just generally, it's like I feel for them because you see Mania afterwards, you see the interview and Theo and stuff, and they're like, what's the point of having this interview? They were basically, you could see they had
yeah,
just given up because they're like, we had the same conversation a week ago, 2 weeks ago. What's the point? So it just kind of, it really did fun. And the sad thing is, it was actually a very good game. It was like one of like
Yeah.
Udinese was in it, Milan was in it, Giroud. Well, what can we say? He just ageless, graceful, like contributing. He's
Okay,
just
okay.
yeah.
We get it. We get it. You're a Giroud fan. We get it. He's
uh,
gonna sign a one-day contract and retire in an Arsenal
I
jersey.
would
We
love
get
that. He deserved that, I think.
it.
Quickly, Man United didn't play, but there was a little bit of news that they stole City's COO. I can't believe we're talking about a random football team COO, but good sign for City, for United, that maybe things are beginning to get refreshed in the back.
It came out of nowhere. It came out of like there was a bunch of other names. There was Blanc, there was Dan Ashworth, there were some other CEOs that were in the contention to be CEOs and directors of football, and this one was completely out of the blue. From what I hear, he was the one who was the head of not only City, was head of City Group. So he helped build the whole City empire, let's say, the New York City FC, the whatever Melbourne,
Girona.
Girona, the one that's top of the league in Spain. By the way, for a minute there. Yeah, it's a good sign. I believe he's gonna do, like, he's a very serious person, but there's a lot of people and a lot of fans who are questioning his motivations, being like, "Oh, he knows that 115 charges are gonna be dropping soon. He needs to find." Because there's a reporter for City who came out and said it was expected that he's going to replace Tiki. I can't pronounce his last name. The guy who was a
Kyrgyzstan.
Barcelona director. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was supposed to substitute him when he retires at City, and he dropped ship. Either way, even if it's he's escaping the 115 charges, which by the way they definitely are guilty. For anyone who's concerned and is going like, oh, it's just a competitive league. Oh, 115 charges, just didn't do anything wrong. Yeah, it's just oil money. We're just spending it.
I
Yeah.
mean,
No.
the fact that they pushed it to fall, I was like, come on, guys, you're this is some bullshit, right? Like, really,
Yeah,
Rich is good. Like, come on, just do something about this. Like, they obviously something sketchy is going on. Like, everybody knows it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
the
Okay.
second,
it's a several
uh,
things, right? One, like City probably hired all the best lawyers money can buy,
yeah,
so they're
with all the
pushing
oil money
everything.
too. Yeah,
And
they're
now, unlike Everton, they hold so much power as one of probably the richest top six team that they can push the FA more and more.
the difference
It's just
between them and
ridiculous.
the difference between them and Everton admitted that they were wrong. That's why they're getting fucked into oblivion by the FA, because they're
Yeah,
like, "Oh yeah, we did it wrong." So if the FA was like, "Oh yeah, you did it wrong, you little bitch."
Yeah,
I
Like,
mean,
which they asked,
they,
like they were working with the FA to make
yeah,
sure that they were complying, and then they were told they were complying, but they didn't get it reviewed, and then they got smacked, which
and
makes no
also
sense.
what is the stupid thing about it is that they were working with them and they made a lot of mistakes from a financial perspective. So they were still signing players and they're saying, and they still let them have the signings. The FA did. So like you were there. Like if you really cared, you could have not let them do the
Yeah,
signings,
it's
because
ridiculous.
it was based on the amount of players they're gonna sell and they signed before they sold. And the FA could have stopped them and could have said, okay, we're not gonna register those players until you sell. There's multiple ways they could have dealt with it. Pretty much like Everton got fucked because of their own mistake, but also the FA didn't do any help to them.
yeah,
And what City is doing, City is saying that we didn't do anything wrong. Here's a bunch of paperwork that we have hired the
Just
best lawyers.
drowning them.
Not guilty. That's what
Yeah,
City is
yeah,
saying essentially. And the second good thing about this, and then I'm gonna wrap it up here, is just that it just still shows that United has pull. You know, like even if
yeah,
it's not 115 charges, there are people who want to come to United and want to make it better, and United are going to be competing one way or another. Whether it's going to be good or no, we will see. But I think it's going to be better.
yeah. The
that,
thing
that makes
is,
sense.
if you're at the City, you're never like as a kind of the president of operations. Like City is really well set up. Even without Guardiola, they'll be fine just because they have good operations going on. But you're never gonna get recognition for that because you're just managing oil money, and whether you're
Yep,
good or not, it doesn't matter. It's like, yeah, you have billions of dollars, so you can do well. If it
yeah,
comes now to United, who has been struggling terribly for 10 years, even though United has money, not as much, but like you can't say United has not spent money. If he comes there and does well and actually turns the fortunes around, there's gonna be a lot more recognition for him. So that's
yeah,
Yeah,
kind of
sure.
like a personal thing.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
That's the interesting part.
yeah.
Quickly before we wrap up, can we talk about? I think Cristiano Ronaldo has been in the news a lot the last week, and so just for anyone who hasn't been listening, he's been giving interviews left, right, and center. He's been shitting essentially on the League On, saying like the Saudi league is better. He's been shitting on the awards. He's been taking digs at Messi. Obviously, you saw him in person, like pointing, "Oh, Haaland should have wanted instead of Messi." About it, almost. I'm like my true feelings about this. Like, I love Ronaldo, obviously, but I'm like, dude, just age gracefully, just retire gracefully. It seems
Dude,
like he's beginning to get petty as he's
yeah.
essentially beginning to lose relevancy. Am I crazy, or does it really feel like he's beginning to be very petty?
Dude, too bad there's no training for his insecurity, because man has everything, and yet he's so insecure. Because yes, we all know that Messi shouldn't have gotten that award. Who gives a shit? Like
Right? It's you're not
yeah,
gonna
it's a
undo it
joke.
now.
But like, what? Why? What? It's you wouldn't get it, Ronaldo. So like, why are you talking about this? And we all know, like, the Saudi thing is just like, okay, maybe like everyone who was like, if anyone they took to Saudi Arabia and paid the most money, who he is like the star, they would have paid him money to go and say this shit. So I don't think
Exactly.
he really means it. So I'm not gonna say like, it's obviously idiotic. Like League One is much better than Saudi League. But other than that, yeah, dude, just like he was talking about how he scored 52 goals and like everyone wrote
Come
him
on,
off like,
bro.
yeah, 52. Look, what is this? Like, I scored 52 goals in my FIFA career mode. Should I brag about that too? Like, get the fuck out of here, Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Just, yeah, you've
Just it seems
accomplished a lot.
petty.
You're like probably like top 5 world's best all time players. Just like age, yeah, as you said, age gracefully.
Yeah.
I mean, I get the sentiment of what he's saying because he was saying it on some awards where Haaland got the recognition that he should have gotten. So I get why he's speaking up, but there's ways about like it was from a petty. It wasn't for the betterment of the game. It was for the betterment of his own image. Like it was like it was a direct dig at Messi where you could still dig at Messi, but then say that like you shouldn't give this awards to people who perform in leagues or for a certain period of time, and like our time has passed, we should move on. Holland should have gotten the award. There's ways you could go about it and say it what you want to say in a smart way, in a very convoluted way. Whereas when you openly go like, "Oh, Saudi league is better than the French league," no, bro, it's not. It's not better. Like it's just not. Like the fact that
Yeah.
like it's more competitive than the Saudi league. I'm sorry, Saudi league starting off, it may potentially in some distant time be better than the French league because the French league is obviously the bottom of the leagues in the European football. But come on, come on.
Yeah.
He's
It
like
won't.
it's
It's
Come on.
gonna it's gonna
Come
be
on.
another Chinese Super League. I guarantee you, they're gonna get bored of it, and it's just gonna like whatever happened to Henderson's gonna happen to a lot of players. Because man, it's not easy to live in that. Like it's a completely different society, completely
I
different rules.
I agree with you that everything is going to be like the Chinese Super League. I think that they're doing this because they have a World Cup bid that's going to happen in
Yeah,
2036. So they want to establish something. They want to have some sort of concrete base, build out stadiums that they can play in, and then all the superstars are going to be gone probably by 2036. Are going to be retiring in 2036
yeah.
there once they have the World Cup, and after that they're just going to have an infrastructure of some sort of a league rather than the superstar league. That's I think what they're trying to do,
But
but
they don't have a competition. Like no one else is bidding for the World Cup.
yeah,
They're
but
I mean, yeah,
automatically
that's the
gonna get
FIFA's
it.
corruption. Yeah, that's
yeah,
ridiculous.
Yes.
I mean, Australia pulled out because they're like, oh, obviously Saudi Arabia is going to get it. Why,
I mean,
why waste the budget and do it when Saudi Arabia is getting it? Like, it's
yeah.
a waste of money. It's fool's money. Yeah.
Yeah, for real. Wait, quickly, just before we end, I want to talk because I think you guys were chatting in our group chat. Most memorable football-related commercials. Do you guys have any that like stand out in your mind? Because to me,
Yeah.
I'll tell you really quickly. For me, it's any of those early 2000, sorry, mid 2000s Pepsi commercials with Ronaldinho are like immediately that pops up in my mind until the day I die. Those are the ones. Ronaldinho being a Ronaldinho Pepsi commercial is the one.
One of my favorite Pepsi commercials like that is the United versus Real Madrid one. Remember the Cowboys? Beckham takes a
Amazing.
penalty in the barber
Yeah.
shop, and Roberto Carlos breaks the window. Casillas, all of the stars are there. And it's United versus one of the best. That
Like,
pops up immediately in my head.
fuck a Super Bowl ad. If you didn't know mid 2000s football ads, Super Bowl ads have nothing on them, honestly
Super
speaking.
Bowl. Super Bowl is it's a sport for the ads. Come on,
Yeah.
like NFL
Yeah.
is
Come
it's
on.
the whole
Don't be
industry's made.
ridiculous now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The ad Take It to the Next Level by Nike ad, where it's from a first person view of someone who like gets brought by Arsenal. I think
Ah,
they
so good.
allure that it's Van Persie because he plays for Netherlands, but like that one was so good, man. Just
So memorable. Like
yeah,
Yeah,
like it's one of those things. I'm like, I can remember the ads as well as I remember certain games from that era. Like
yeah,
that's how good they were. They just like they felt like they did an impression on us. I'm like, yo, there's a fucking Pepsi commercial that'll be stuck in my brain. Well done, Pepsi.
yeah. And I think they
I don't remember.
captured.
Yeah, I don't remember
Yeah,
any good ads for the last 5-10 years.
yeah.
Honestly,
Oh yeah.
I think they captured a good, like, I think they captured the. It was a snapshot of the footballing world in that moment, because there's also a commercial of when they were doing this. It was an octagon of where they were playing. It was Eric Cantona who had the microphone. Then there was also a commercial of pre 2002 World Cup when they play the Brazilian national team plays. They're keeping the ball up in the stadium.
Oh
If you
yeah, that's
remember,
a
that
good
was an
one. That's such a good one.
iconic one. That one slaps. And I think the
Yeah.
last one that was the best. I think the last one, as Big Love said, in the air, and after that, they didn't have any good commercials. I think the last one of that type is that commercial of when kids are playing outdoors and then they call out the names of the stars that they're
yeah,
gonna be,
yeah,
and they turn into. That's the last
Yeah.
one,
Oh, amazing. Oh, that's such
and
an
that
iconic one.
and that's the last one. And then there's a recent one that I shared with you in the chat, the Bellingham one, which is kind of something, but it's a
It's
Nike
not the
commercial.
same.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's
It's
not
just
the
not the
same.
same. It's just not the
But
same.
they should try and do it with the Mbappe's for the new generation.
yeah.
Like nobody
Yeah.
will know what Ronaldo and Rivaldo and Ronaldinho do. And there was also
But
another one. Which one was it? There was a one when there was Beckham. It was a Pepsi commercial as well
Oh
too,
yeah. Yeah,
with
yeah.
a ball boy, and he gives him his shirt, and the guy shows him a Juventus jersey or whatever. And he is so many good ones.
So
So
good,
many
so
good ones.
good, so
I
good.
Yeah,
think right now they don't make so many commercials where there's bunch of famous
yeah.
players.
Too
Yeah,
It's like
expensive.
yeah, the Bellingham one is cool if you like Bellingham, but that's it.
yeah.
Like
That's was the
it's
that's a
so
good point.
individualistic. Yeah,
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good
I
point.
Also,
Eh,
surprisingly, didn't like remember so many commercials. Would never buy a Pepsi.
well,
on that
yeah,
note,
like
I like the commercial. I'm not gonna be buying a Pepsi because of
it's
it.
so funny. I
Yeah.
had Pepsi recently. It's definitely different. I think that's probably a good time to wrap up. Don't buy a Pepsi is the message, obviously, that we're trying to speak. No, I'm kidding. This
Chick-fil-A
was.
sponsor us. Where is that? That's a throwback. Come on, Big Love.
Hey,
I don't know.
we're
Maybe Pepsi can sponsor us and we'll change
yeah,
our
I'll
tune.
honestly,
I'll
We
drink
are
Pepsi
recording on
then.
a Sunday, so Chick Fil A is not
we're
going to sponsor
primed to
us.
sell out. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm just putting it out there.
Wonderful.
uh,
Thank you, boys. Have a good week, and we'll see you again next week.
yeah. See you again next week.
See?
Peace.